Abraja Jana Dhanjana Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Ani Tiger, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. God Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Jaya, glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to our Guru Varga, glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasari, Gaur Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmana kasya sidroham acharat satata vidha atmana kshemam anavichan drogdurvai parato bhayam tasmana kasichid droham acharyat satata vidha atmana kshemam anavichan drogdurvai parato bhayam Tasmanna kaschid droham acharet satata vidha atmana kshemam anavichan drogdur vaiparata bhayam. Acharet satata vidham atmanak shemam anvicham drogtur vai parato bhayam swamna kasichitroham Shemam anvichan drogtur vai parata bhayam. Ladies, tasmam kasichidraham acharet satata bhidam atmanak shemam anvichan drogtur vai parto bhayam tasmam na kasichidraham acharet vidha atmanak shemam anvichan drogtur vai parato bhayam. Tasmat, therefore, na, not, kasyachit, of anyone, droham, envy, acharet, one should act, sa, a person, kamsa, tata vidha, who has been advised in such a way by Vasudeva, atmanaha, his own, shemam, welfare, anvichan, if he desires, drogdhu, of one who is envious of others, by, indeed, paratak, from others, bhayam, there is a cause of fear. Translation, we're on the 10th canto, 1st chapter, 44th verse. Therefore, since envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? Considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone, for an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or in the next. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Instead of being inimical toward other living entities, one should act piously by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord, thus avoiding a fearful situation both in this life and in the next. In this regard, the following moral instruction by the great politician Chanaka Pandit is very meaningful. Tvayaj durjana samsargam bayan sadhu samagagamam kuru punyam ahoratram smara nityam anandyutam. One should give up the company of devils, demons, and non-devotees, and one should always associate with devotees and saintly persons. One should always act piously, thinking that this life is temporary and not be attached to temporary happiness and distress. The Krishna consciousness movement is teaching all of human society this principle of becoming Krishna conscious and thus solving the problems of life forever. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sarjana. Om Haganya Timaranda Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sham Sri Rupam Sahagajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamam Hi Hari Priye Vanshakapatubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanham Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Naha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mamupayantite. Therefore, since envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? Considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone, for an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or the next. So this moral instruction is not only obvious, but it's obvious for devotees, but not necessarily for those in the not following devotional service. For material life, there is a network of material anxieties, misconceptions, and always enviousness. Our immediate coming to this material world was that we had some ambivalence or some apathetic attitude toward the Supreme Lord. We had the choice whether to come to the world of dedication or come to the world of Maya, of personal gratification. So, however that originally happened, we've chosen this world of illusion where we think we can become happy by the senses and the pleasures of the senses. So everyone here was looking out for number one. I, me, and mine. I want this, I want that, I want this is mine, these are my things, and the other platform is we want to gather whatever we can, name, fame, adoration, distinction, so we can become honored. Those here, we can become worshiped, we can become praised, we can become loved, we can become recognized in this world of hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, Prabhupada used to say. So we've taken our lot here in this material world, and then after some period of time, we've all had to suffer in different births, even though many of us, or most of us, can't remember what they are, thankfully, because we've been, already in this time, we've been through 8,400,000 different species of life. So we're in the 400,000 species. We've now made it to the human form of life. So in this human form of life, all the senses are strong, and we're trying to pursue the senses, and in this way, we may do any heinous activity to try to get ahead or try to become successful or try to become recognized. And this causes so much reaction being envious. Normally in the material world, when someone rises, there's someone trying to pull them down or step on their head so that they personally can come up. So a lot of times when someone has that new promotion or someone gets recognized here, everyone's clapping, and the clapping is, I should have been me. You know, I should have been, how come I didn't get this? So they're always thinking in some platform of their own, you know, why are we recognizing someone else? We should be the one that's recognized in worship. So this is the way of material life. So the devotees, they're not supposed to be operating on that platform. We understand that being envious in our previous activities, not being successful, this is the world of the materialists. The devotees, their dharma, as I said in other classes, compassion. And we're trying to be compassion, and we're trying to associate with those devotees, with those souls that are recognized as Krishna's family. And our devotional service is dependent, actually, upon the good association of the devotees and their blessings. So we are chanting, but chanting has to also be in the association of devotees. Sankirtan movement is basically meaning we're chanting in the association of devotees. So in the association of pure devotees, very, very, very rare, as Yudhisthira Maharaj said, the most rarest thing in this material world. But even the association of any of Krishna's devotees, they're all his kinsmen. We are in that great giant family. So in that association, everyone is trying to help. Prabhupada used to say, it's easy to break one stick, but if you have a bundle back together, very difficult to break. So some days someone may down and someone else is up, because if they're just by yourself, you can very easily, Maya can easily very snap, because we're very tiny. We're Anu, very insignificant. We're being covered over by the material energy. We're trying now to render devotional service under the lotus shelter of Krishna, Anugatya, through our spiritual masters. So we're trying to follow that shelter. And when there's a conflict, because maybe we're not so strong or we're not so advanced, so there's some question of bhoga tyaga, some enjoyment, some renunciation. So we're teeter-tottering sometimes on that platform. I'm becoming too serious in Krishna consciousness. Let me enjoy a little bit. Then we go, this is nonsense, this is Maya, let me renounce. So this platform is a suffering platform called bhoga tyaga. But I can guarantee you most devotees have gone through it or may even still be in that platform. So the question is, we haven't had enough taste. We haven't yet experienced, even though we've been in many kirtans and many classes, somehow still there's this hankering within us to want to enjoy, to want to not give up everything. So yes, we're trying to give up gradually to Krishna so that we can become his devotee, but still we're keeping a little side just in case it doesn't work out so well. So this kind of mentality is like kind of a round trip ticket. It's not the one-way ticket that we're looking for. To become fully dedicated, one has to become fully pure at heart. Krishna's not going to sit in the heart if there's much dust. So, Chaito Darpanam Arjanam, as Lord Chaitanya is saying, this Sankirtan movement is cleansing this dust, this separate mentality. Because what are we really? If we understand that we're Dasa Dasa Jiva Surapaya Nitya Krishna Das, if we understand that we're the servant of Krishna, then the only thing that really matters is Krishna's pleasure, Radha's pleasure. So when we're thinking of our pleasure, then we're thinking I, me, and mine. We're separating ourselves from Krishna's activities, from Krishna's world, because we're thinking, what about me? What about this is mine? What am I going to gain from? How am I going to get profit from this? So this mentality is the material mentality. It's the actually enemy of devotional service. Devotional service comes when one's mind becomes purified. When you go through the process of, when you go through the Shraddha and then Bhajana Kriya, then you're hitting a Nartana Vritti. So when Nartana Vritti is practically cleared, not fully, but a little cleared, then Nistha may come because you can become steady. And when you become steady in that platform, because the material miseries and pangs stop crushing your head, and you start becoming a little happy, then you can realize that actual devotional service is my platform, is my friend, is my home, is what I want to do. When one becomes fixed in that platform and he doesn't have to use his mentality, his intelligence to think like that, then he gets that taste. that ruchi taste. Then from that platform, that's what he wants to do. Then he or she realizes that the devotional service is the only thing I should be doing. Because now they realize, I am Krishna Das. I am actually the servant of Krishna. As they start breaking down that mind, the mind becomes the enemy at that point, because it's not yet controlled in Krishna consciousness. So the mind always trying to pull herself to enjoy. So when the mind becomes controlled to the platform, it's being encaged within the devotional service. Then at that point, the material mind starts breaking down, and it starts following devotional platform, and then there's some taste. And then we won't speak about the higher platforms, but that is a platform. How do we start? So right now our mind is the enemy, because it always wants to simply enjoy. So Bhaktisiddhanta said, every morning I get up, wake up, and what does he do? He beats his mind with a shoe. So we should also know that these activities, enviousness, desire to get ahead, wanting to enjoy, these are the anarthas that are still remnants within our heart. We shouldn't try to fan that. So if we realize we have those contaminations, then we should pray sincerely. My dear Lord Krishna, or Srila Prabhupada, or whoever your Guru Maharaj is, please, I am just a small, tiny, insignificant jiva. I'm beleaguered by so many unwanted things in my heart. Please give me good association, somehow help cure these unwanted things from my heart. Then must pray very sincerely, realizing I am not a big devotee, I am not a great anything. If anything, I'm just wandering somehow in this material world, and how somehow or other I've come in contact with real devotees, your servants, and they've accepted me somehow in their platform, yet I am not qualified. So I'm praying, I may not be qualified, but don't kick me away from your lotus feet. Somehow engage me in your service and cure this infection that's in my heart. So if the devotee is sincere in praying like that, very quickly, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada, or Guru Varga, they will give that devotee some mercy, some kripa, that somehow by their sincere activity and kripa, because in our sampradaya there are two things, as I said before. There's the endeavor by the devotee, and then there's kripa. So not that we just expect kripa and then we don't have to do anything, like we just lay down, and all of a sudden we're going to be taken to the spiritual world. No, we have to endeavor like anything, but we should also expect the mercy of the Lord. So, and this is a very practical verse, that one should give up those things. One should accept the association of devotees, and one should accept the association of rendering favorable activities to Krishna, and one should reject the association of asatsanga, non-devotees, or any of those devotees, any of those persons that are against the Supreme Lord's vision. And we should give up those activities that are not beneficial to Krishna consciousness. This is a daily activity by devotees. We think this verse is just, for preaching, but this is a verse that all of us, myself included, we have to always consider unfavorable. So if it's favorable to my enjoyment, but not favorable to Krishna's service, then one needs to give it up. And that's the hard part. One has to give those up things. Krishna wants you to realize, he wants the best thing for you, but we also are our own worst enemies if our mind's not controlled, because we're going to want something separate than Krishna. So when we recognize that, we should beat our mind and pray, chant Hare Krishna loudly. So today is also an auspicious day. Lord Balaram had the desire to go to Vrindavan, and he went to Vrindavan, and he stayed for 2 months. And there, along with the snake girls and the gopis, the whole Vrindavan forest, the flowers were very, very fragrant, and the bees were swimming around the different hollows in the trees, in which were oozing with honey. And this made the atmosphere where Lord Balaram was also very anxious of being able to enjoy like that. So in this association, in this particular time, Balaram Rasayatra, then he engaged, and Balaram was looking so beautiful. And he had ankle bells, and it was looking very wonderful. And so was the different gopis that were also there with their braided hair, and they're very beautiful. And so in this way, there was a rasa dance. And as they were dancing on the same date, But now we're talking about Lord Balaram. So everything was so wonderful. So after they were dancing for some time, he was perspiring, and all the beautiful little marks and designs that were on his face, on the gopi's face, had all washed down for perspiration. So he desired, let us go, go into the Jamuna and take bath. So he called the Jamuna, you come. But she did not come. He again called, come. She did not come. Jamuna was not thinking, who are you? I'm coming. Why should I come? So then Balaram says, you're not following my desire. You're not answering me. So he picked up his plow and he went to go to Jamuna. He said, I'm going to tear you into 1,000 pieces. And then all of a sudden, Jamuna saw Balaram in this mood with his plow in his hand. He's ready to do it. And all of a sudden, the plow came into the water, and he started dragging, and the different rivulets, different streams start coming from Jamuna as he's pulling it across the water. The Jamuna came all the way, and then she's praying to Lord Balaram. She says, please, I'm sorry, I didn't know your glories or who all that you were. Please accept what we are your servants. We are devotee. You please be kind to us. You are the most merciful. So please, we are your devotee. Please be merciful to us. In this way, Balaram accepted the Jamuna's prayers, and then he, along with all the different gopis, all took into the Jamuna for cooling off and having some wonderful water sports. And then, as he came out, Jamuna was so thankful for all of the different gopis and all the different, and Balaram who had graced her waters. She came and she was offering so many golden necklaces and 9 different variety strands of pearls and wonderful garlands, lots of blue garlands and jewels and rings and amulets and all these things. So Lord Balaram accepted from Jamuna, and he started to divide the different things to the different gopis that were with him there, and his idea was to please them. And then he himself took on this beautiful bluish garment that Jamuni Devi has given to him, and he wore that. And as he wore that, everyone looked so beautiful, and the Vrindavan forest looked so beautiful. And anyone who hears this pastimes, just hears this glorification of Lord Balaram, immediately so many sins leave from them just by hearing that. But not only is this one day Balaram's glories, when he was performing Rasayatra on the banks in the Jamuna in Vrindavan. He stayed there for 2 months to please all the inhabitants. But also, around a little over 500 years ago, there was this wonderful devotee who happens to be his appearance day today, who was one of the 3 prominent leaders of our Sankirtan movement, who just after the 6 Goswamis, the preaching was still just localized primarily in Vrindavan and a little bit in Bengal. But all the 6 Goswamis who were writing, they had compiled all their literatures in Radha Damodar, and most of them had left at this point. Only Jiva Goswami was still there, and they were compiling some copies of all the different Goswami literatures. So there was this devotee, his name was Dukha Krishna Das, and his parents, they had several children before his birth, but all of them had died. And so, but they were very liberal. As he grew up, they said, you can pick whoever you want to be your guru. We're not going to force our family guru on you. Because they were devotees, you can pick whoever you want. And immediately he said, Hridai Chaitanya, I want to take as my guru. So Hridai Chaitanya Prabhu was a very learned devotee. He was the disciple of Gauridas Pandit, who was a very intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. So this Dukha Krishna Das, as he developed in his Krishna consciousness, he desired to go to Vrindavan. So as he went to Vrindavan, he started to perform service there. He would correspond with his spiritual master, Hridai Chaitanya, who wrote to him. He said, you should accept Shri Jiva Goswami as your Shiksha Guru, and you should see in him and treat him like all the instructions that I am giving, that you should see me in him, and that follow, and those instructions are non-different than if they were coming from me. So you should accept him in that mood. So at this time, Dukhi Krishnadas accepted Sri Jiva Goswami, and every day he had a service, and that service was, do you remember the temple's name, Vasagosh? There's a little temple and a courtyard. Do you remember that? I don't remember. I know it's where Shamananda was sweep. I don't know. I was there. I don't know the name of it. Anyway, there's a courtyard. In this courtyard, there's a small temple. But in this courtyard is sometimes where Radha and Krishna would do rasa pastimes. Not only was it just done, we see rasa pastimes, 2 different places in Seva Kunj and then on Govardhan, but also different times they would perform in these little different, like, kind of like little parks, almost little, huh? It's not Nidaban, but it's, anyway, I forgot it, something Mahal. And anyway, every day this Dukha Krishnadas, he would go in the morning and he would sweep this. He would sweep the whole area of the ground in there, because he didn't want any devotees that would come to visit that temple in that area to have any stones that hurt their feet. So he did this religiously every morning. Every morning he did this as part of his service. He wasn't asked, but he took this as a service. So one day he was sweeping, and he was sweeping because the night before there was a big Mahotsava, at least in the spiritual world. There was a big Mahotsava, and there were so many there was a rasa dance being performed there on that very location. And there was so many wonderful preparation and dancing and everything, but somehow or other the ankle bell of Radharani had fallen off, and she wasn't aware of it. So that back here in Vrindavan, on the earth planet, that he was sweeping, or I won't say the earth planet, but in the material extension of Vrindavan, in this material world, he was sweeping this platform, and there he found this beautiful golden anklet with beautiful little flower jewels, and it was just glittering, and he was so, as soon as he touched it, he brought it to his heart, and then he immediately fainted. So he knows this is very special. So first he put it on, he put a thing and tied it on and put it around his neck, and then he realized, no, someone may see this and someone may want to steal, or actually this belongs to someone. It has to be some great personality, because every time I touch this thing, I practically, go into a trance. So he took that wonderful ankle bell, and he dug it back into the courtyard. He dug a hole in the dirt there, and he covered it up. He said, I will give it back to the person this belongs to. So meanwhile, in the spiritual world, Radharani came to realize after the next morning that, where's my ankle bell? It's someone. So she called Lalita and Vishaka, and she said, I have left my ankle bell somewhere. Can you go back to that place and see if you can find it? So Lalita came, but when she came to this, here into Vrindavan, in this material world, she changed her form to be like an old lady, to an older lady. So when Dukhi Krishnadas was sweeping the next morning, Lalita in her form as an old lady came to him and said, have you seen an ankle bell? Very wonderful ankle bell, and you're sweeping over the thing? And he goes, why are you asking this? And he goes, well, I am the mother-in-law of my sister-in-law's who's lost an ankle bell here, and I'm just wondering if you found it. He said, and then he asked her, who are you? And he goes, I am Radha Dasi, she said. I am Radha Dasi. And so why are you wanting this ankle bell? Well, I'm trying to give it to my daughter-in-law. And so he goes, can you describe it? He was asking all these questions to her. But Dukhi Krishnadas felt like this ankle bell must belong to some youthful girl, because not some older lady. This is a very beautiful. Plus, he also felt in his heart, this must be Radharani's, because every time I put it to my chest, my whole heart quivers, and sometimes I pass out. So anyway, he asked her, who are you? And he says, you have to tell me who you are. He wouldn't accept. And then she finally, said, he asked to see her form. And then Lalita said to him, I said, you cannot see. If you were to see this form, you cannot take it in your material, in your body like this. But he was persistent. And so anyway, she changed her form, and just upon seeing the beautiful form, because Lalita is very, very beautiful, seeing the beautiful form of Lalita, immediately Dukkha Krishnadas hit to the floor, and he passed out. So then Lalita put her foot on his head, and as he woke up, he said, I want to give this personally to the owner. And she goes, well, you can't go there in this body. You cannot go. I said, I want to go there personally to give it to the person who this owns. So here the story is told two different ways. So one story is what Lalita did. The other story is he had the opportunity of Radharani, which we'll say that one, because there's two different acharyas in our line tell two different ways. So the story we'll say we'll use the Radharani, but we honor the other translation also in case one of them's right. Both are through Samadhi Bhas, so who am I to say? So what happened is that he took this jewel, this ankle bell, and Lalita transported him to Radharani. And then Radharani put out her leg, and then before he could put the ankle bell on Radharani's thing, she took the ankle bell and touched it to his forehead. And when she touched it to her forehead from the lotus feet of Radharani, there are two lines that came down. So at this time, Dukkha Krishnadas, he had a different form of tilak than the one he normally had, that he was wearing from his initiation. So this was now permanent one, because now that she helped touch the ankle belt to his forehead, the lines became permanent. And so it was told that one story says, Lalita said to him, he said, because you have made Radharani so pleased by your service, you are now called Shamananda. And the other story says, Jiva Goswami named him Shamananda when he went back and told the story that because you pleased Radharani, your name is Shamananda. In any case, his name was now changed to Shamananda. When he came back from this, and of course he was in down trance and came back. As he came back, he ran to Jiva Goswami, and he started telling him, and everyone saw, what is this different tilak that he's wearing? And he came to Jiva Goswami, and he starts telling this kind of fantastic tale where he found the ankle bell, and Radharani put on her feet, she touched his forehead, he got these lines, and they called him now Shamananda. My name's Shamananda. And so Jiva Goswami was just listening first, and some of the other devotees thought, what is this? Meanwhile, being able to be omniscient, knowing past, present, and future, Jiva Goswami confirmed, yes, that I believe, and your new name now is Shamananda. And because he had that marking of tilak, you will see anyone now following in Shamananda's Gaudiya Sampradaya, they have a different tilak than what we do. They're all following the tilak mark that Shamananda wear. Meanwhile, as he goes on as Shamananda, he was part of two other different stalwart devotees, Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivasacharya, and they were all three. And Hridayananda, Hriday Chaitanya, was also very wondrous first. Why this tilak? What has Jiva Goswami done? He's changed his name and now a different tilak. And then there was some controversy, but then that all became cleared up. Meanwhile, Jiva Goswami had the books of the Goswamis copied, and which is quite a deal. There was no printing machines at that time. There was no Xerox or anything. They had to do it by hand. So they loaded up an ox cart of all the different books by Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami's books, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and I don't know if Raghunath Bhatt had any literatures. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. But anyway, whatever the 6 Goswamis' literatures were there, they were all loaded into a bullock cart, and they were commissioned to go to Bengal and Orissa to be able to establish the preaching movement. So it's understood through our Acharya line that Narottam Das Thakur was the ecstasy representative of Lord Nityananda, and Srinivasacharya was the ecstasy representative of Lord Chaitanya, and Shamananda Pandit was the ecstasy of Advaitacharya. So they all went in this bullock cart heading down toward Bengal, but when they got to this one state, I think it was Vishnupur, which was a city, they were waylaid by the king, who had these dacoits, because the word on the street, of course there wasn't streets then, the word in the country was, there are some rich merchants that are coming with most valuable assets in this wagon cart, bullock cart. So immediately the king thought, well, I want to take that when they come into my country. I want to be able to take that, steal that, take that. So he took the bullock cart, the dacoits stole the bullock cart. But when they stole the bullock cart and then he got to it, all there was books. So they weren't very happy, so he just stored them. Meanwhile, Srinivasacharya stayed in this town. I won't tell his story because that'll be coming up. But Shamananda went on to Orissa. And Shamananda Prabhu, it's stated by Shamananda Prabhu, by his preaching, the whole state of Orissa became bhaktas, became devotees, and attached to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So by his preaching, that we honor our Vaishnava Acharyas on this day, and especially those that have inaugurated the Sankirtan movement and starting to spread it right after the 6 Goswamis have left. So without all of their preaching and their attempt to going on and all the activities that each one of the 3 of those did, they had a significant change in our movement that actually started spreading like anything. So Lord Chaitanya made many devotees, but when he had left, everyone was feeling separation. So many devotees that also went back to the spiritual world, and then it was concentrated in Vrindavan. And when they all left and Raghunath Das left, it was only Jiva Goswami. And so then he sent his stalwart followers. And it's interesting to understand that Narottam Das Thakur, Shamananda Pandit, and Srinivas Acharya, they were all initiated by other gurus, other Diksha gurus, and they all accepted Jiva Goswami as Shiksha Guru. So sometimes there's confusion between Diksha and Shiksha. If someone thinks, well, you give your guru this, and no, they have to be compatible. Just like when Hridaya Chaitanya said, you should accept Jiva Goswami, just like the order is coming from me. So Shiksha also means that they're helping you in your Krishna consciousness. So there may be many, many Shiksha gurus may come, but the devotee will see them, oh, he's being sent by my Guru Maharaj to help me. Thank you very much. He'll offer respects to his guru, and he'll accept those teachings to be able to help him in his Krishna consciousness. So it's important we understand that realization also. Many of you here may become Shiksha gurus to some other people, that other younger devotees or friends that you're helping. So they should also see as, oh, my Guru Maharaj has sent this person to come and help me. So in this way, this is a very auspicious day that not only is Lord Balaram enjoying as he was taking the honey preparations and dancing with the gopis and calling the Jamuna to come. In fact, if you go to Jamuna in that spot where he pulled it, there's many, many rivulets. Even today, there's many different streams that come from her. So, you know, these are not just some fairy tales or some mythological thing that some, you know, as stated by some. We used to go around to all these different so-called scholars, and they would all have some wild interpretation or some misbelief in the Vedic literatures. But we're seeing more and more all the different symptoms that all of our Vedic literatures are not fairy tales, they're actually truth. And so they're giving the positive opportunities for us to really purify our intelligence and realize that our home is not here. Our home is not in this material world. This is where we are at, but this is not our home. So we're like foreigners here. Some that may come from different countries, they feel like foreigner in the United States until they get their green card or they're accepted as citizens. But we're foreigners in this material world, but we've been here a long time, so we've grown attachment to. So this verse that we're talking today is also says one should not become attached to things in this material world. Just like if one is going to New York and he stops at a motel and he doesn't think, now I'm going to change how the motel does all these things. I'm going to get with the motel management and we're going to change all these. His trip is going to New York. He's spending the night at the motel. He's not going to become the manager of the motel and fix all their different things. We should realize we're sojourning in this material world. So the activities that we're here is that we've been given our spiritual master. We've been given the opportunities to render devotional service to please our spiritual master and Krishna. So if we deviate from that platform, we have no hope for happiness. In the material world, they're thinking I can be happy by pleasing my senses, but they will never become happy. They have tried and they'll never have it. It's just chewing the chewed. Our grandfather has done, or his grandfather, our father, everyone has tried all these things and yet they have not become happy. So this is the history of the material world. Following the blind, trying to become happy. Just like sometimes Prabhupada was the example of a dog. A dog would go and grab a bone. In a bone, there's no juice in the bone whatsoever, right? So he takes this bone, and then the dog looks around. He's frightened that some other dog may see him. So he goes down in a ditch, and he starts chomping on the bone. So as he's chomping on the bone, what's happening? He's cutting his mouth. So what happens? The blood starts mixing, and he's saying, oh, very nice and salty. Badam. This is very good. What is he doing? He's tasting his own blood. And he's thinking, oh, this is wonderful. So then what happens just then? Some other dog comes, and then a pack of dog comes, and then it starts to be some fight. So the dog's trying to run and save his bone. But what happens? The other bigger dog comes and takes that bone. So this other dog now, head down, tail between the legs, start wandering off. And then this other dog is doing the same thing. Now he's trying to chew it, and then all these other dogs will come and attack it. In this way, as material life, there's no real taste. The taste we're seeing is our own blood that we're doing, that we're leaving, and we're thinking, oh, this is happiness. And at the end result, our tail between our legs, head down, and thinking, so much suffering. So the material world, all the living entities are suffering. The devotees are meant to cure this by giving real intelligence, real knowledge, as we've heard it from our disciplic succession, to help mitigate the ignorance and suffering that's here and rampant all around us, especially in Kali Yuga. So as agents, as I said the last class, as agents of our company, headed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, and headed by all the stalwart six Goswamis and all the different flowers of acharyas that are coming back down in that line, we're meant to help do the mission that they have come to inaugurate and clear this ignorance. So as good soldiers, we should pray that we can become useful in Lord Chaitanya's service and our Guru Maharaj's service and your Guru Maharaj's service, and somehow being able to help that, and at the same time wake up to our own Krishna consciousness so that we can become qualified to actually please the Lord. And then by that, perhaps we can attract even a fragment of mercy of Radharani or Sri Chaitanya Prabhu or Kishore, Kishore, Nityananda, or any of our Guru Varg, that they may please come and help us. Hare Krishna. Any questions? This is a mellow class for me today. Not yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Today is also the appearance day of Vamsi Vadandas Thakur.
You want to tell that story?
No, but I want to ask a question. In yesterday's class, that question came up: is Krishna's flute a jiva or an expansion? And I understand Vamsidas Thakur is, his spiritual identity is Krishna's flute.
So what was the answer yesterday?
No, we didn't. We weren't able to come up with the answer, so we're asking you.
So when Krishna expanded into all the clothing and all of the different the bugle and everything of the cowherd boys, was that Krishna, or was that what? When he expanded himself to when Lord Brahma took all the cowherd boys and all the cows, and he changed into all those forms, and he not only changed into those forms, but all the different clothing, the bugles and stuff like that. So in that, what is the explanation of that? You remember? That was a direct expansions. Everywhere that they would saw Krishna was in that form. So if Krishna is flute, and his flute's transcendental, then it's not of the material. It may appear to be bamboo, but it's not of the material quality. When Radharani stole it, and and all gopis and Radharani were playing, Krishna was looking for it from a kunjan. He couldn't find it. How can I be without my flute in Vrindavan? So they were passing it all around, and they were also in Gopi Geet and some of the other different literatures explaining how they want to. Their mood was to how fortunate is this flute, because it's always at getting the kiss of Lord Krishna. So it's not possible that this flute is anything else but, an expansion of the spiritual energy coming from Krishna.
Yeah, I was also thinking that Krishna's flute must be eternal. It's not that Krishna didn't have a flute and at some point...
Well, at some point he did, and he left it in Vrindavan when he went to Dwarka. Because the mood of Dwarkesh or Mathura Vasudev Krishna is different than the mood of Brajendanandana Krishna. So when in Dwarka, just to vilify the point, when Dwarka, when in the evening when Krishna was calling out, hey Lalita, hey Radhika, hey Vishaka, and then naming the different cows and other things, the queens of Dwarka were going, what is this? Who are they? What are they calling out? So because this was happening regularly, they made this park. Do you know what the park? You're Gujarat. What is the park by Dwarka called? Where it's like New Vrindavan. They made like a park mimicking Vrindavan, and they put like even different statues, and they put, so when Dwarkanath would come, he would come to this park and he would feel like, oh, I'm in Vrindavan. Although it was in Dwarka, it was in a location where he would feel and he'd be in that mood of Vrindavan. Now New Vrindavan, okay. So there they put sometimes they put a flute or something there, because in that mood, only Krishna Vrindavan mood will he wear the peacock feather and the flute. The peacock feather was what? The dancing peacock feather was dancing when Krishna was playing his flute. They became so wildly. One of them became so attached to Krishna. What am I? I'm a peacock. What can I give? But my heart is being given to Krishna. So the most valuable thing I have is my feather. So he left the feather for Krishna. And Krishna took that feather and he said, realized he was so thankful to that peacock. He said, this feather I'll never be without. And so I'm going to stick it. And he stuck it on top of his head. So that peacock feather that we sing is on the love from his devotee as a peacock. And so he'll put that in his head. And his flute, one of the 4 different things that makes Krishna more, that Krishna has that no other Vishnu incarnation has, is when he plays on his flute, he's able to attract the whole universe. Because his flute playing is so amazing that everyone becomes stunned and attracted to his flute. No other incarnation has that wonderful activity. So much so that when he was playing his flute, the different residents of Vrindavan, the female residents of Vrindavan, Gopi, they all felt they were personally called. Everyone was personally coming, going to the forest, all but one. And that Radhika, she had heard the flute, and upon hearing the flute, she passed out. But no one could wake her. She passed out, and no one could wake her. So I won't tell the whole story because it's not appropriate, but at this time. But the main thing is they went to go to get Krishna at Sedamanu Mongol, because she was with Purnamasi. They put her in her hut because they couldn't wake her. They tried, couldn't get her up, and so they thought she was going to die. All the rest of the gopis, when they met in the forest, he sent them all back because he was looking for Radharani, but she wasn't there. And you know the whole story anyway, and they sent them back. But anyway, Madhumango came, and he said, Krishna, come, you have to come to my Purnamasi's house. And he goes, okay, we go. So we went to Purnamasi's house, and there Radharani was in this hut, within this grass hut, and she was fainted, but more than fainted, she was unconscious and couldn't be woken up. So long story short, this is one of their first meetings, and Krishna ended up putting his feet on Radharani, but he didn't think it was her. He just thought it was like a statue. And then she woke up, saw he woke up, and he both stunned. And anyway, long story short, as he put the foot from the kumkum from the chest of Radharani, as they walked back to Vrindavan, that kumkum was laid on the grass. And then the different Adivasi girls, they were taking that kumkum and they're rubbing it on their body and being in ecstasy. And then Radharani and the other gopis were saying how fortunate these girls, she didn't even know the kumkum was from her, how fortunate these girls are, they're taking this kumkum. It must have been some lady's feet that Krishna did. They're fortunate, now they're spinning on this wonderful bliss. So all these pastimes are interrelated between the flute and the peacock feathers, and the other thing that's within Krishna's speciality beyond the Vaikuntha examples of Lord Vishnu is that his pastimes with his devotees are so nectarian and so wonderful. No one has such wonderful, beautiful pastimes that affect the heart of all. So that's why in our devotional service we always have to hear, because this hearing Krishna's pastimes they're not ordinary. They purify the heart, and they bring one attachment to his lotus feet, to Radharani's of the Gopis and all the Vrindavan, to see that as our home. So if we don't hear this, we don't hear some of these. Not that we have to hear all the high stuff, but we don't hear these pastimes. Our heart becomes hard and dry like a rock. So these are meant to massage our heart, to give us attachment to Krishna, and help purify our minds and hearts from material contaminations that we've been afflicted with so many years. Yes, Prabhu. What do you get first?
The story of Shyamananda is from what book? The story of Shyamananda that you told, where is it coming from?
Garga Samhita.
Pardon?
Garga Samhita.
It's in the Garga Samhita?
No, Garga Samhita is
the story of Shyamananda.
The story of Balaram is from...
The story of Shyamananda is my question. You told the story of Shyamananda.
There's two different platforms coming down from
where is the story coming from? There's a book, right?
It's part of chapters of different books. But, so I have the excerpts of it. So it's not, go ahead. If you know, go ahead.
No. I is it from the Bhakti Ratnakar? I'm just curious. I'm just thinking. I don't know.
I have to give it to you because I know the story, but I got to go back to see which book it came out of.
It's a research question.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay.
Because I was told.
You're not on trial. I'm not calling 911.
No, I was told this by several different times, and I have a printout, but I'm
just curious because I myself don't know.
You never heard that?
The story of Shyamananda, I heard it vaguely. I didn't get into it deeply like you told the story. I had the Bhakti Ratnakar English translation, but I didn't read it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll see if it's from there. How long will you be here? Maybe if I go back.
That's a good question.
If I go back, I may bring it to you tomorrow or something.
We can research it.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mahabuddhi Prabhu, thank you for your class. One of the most things I appreciate about you is that I'm not a soft-spoken devotee, and that was one of the main things I appreciated, that you have many different levels, including, very powerful storytelling, sometimes with raised voice like Bhakti Siddhanta. So I really appreciate, that keeps me awake. And so thank you for blessing us with your presence.
Well, this was more mellow for me. Usually I'm much more, I'm in a different mood today, I guess, right?
So my question is kind of related to the verse of envy. There's a quote that I really appreciate that I just remember, like actually this morning, it's kind of related to the class. It says, life is like a trumpet. If you don't put anything into it, then you won't get anything out of it. And we hear Krishna says the same thing, I think from chapter 4, Yeyata Mam Prabhate Te Tam Tataiva Bhajamyaham. We hear that if we take one step towards Krishna, he'll take 10 steps towards us. So my question is related to this verse of envy, is that the tendency is that when we come to devotional service, we may have been in 10 years, and we was like, I've taken so many steps towards Krishna. Then some new person comes in, and so all of a sudden they're getting more benefits than us, more honor, more prestige, more whatever. And so we may lose faith in the words of Krishna that Krishna's, I've taken more steps than this person, so why are they getting the benefits? So the tendency of envy, as this verse is mentioned, it comes up, and then we may lose our faith in Krishna. So what is a person to do when they see, you know, look at Krishna he's saying we should look at results, but in other chapters he said we shouldn't be detached from the results. So it's like Krishna can't make up his mind, and then we become envious. So maybe you could explain some of that dilemma that I've had in the past before too. So
I'm not sure there was a question in there, but is it like, why are we still envious even if new people come and we're still, after so many years, we're still like that?
No, sometimes we may be in devotional service a long time, and then somebody may be new, and all of a sudden it seems like they're getting more benefits than us, more respect, more honor, more this, more that.
Well,
so
those things, fame, adoration, honor, distinction, doesn't mean that that's spiritual advancement. Okay, Trinadapi Sunuchaina Toropi Sohistuna Amani Manadena Kirtina Siddhahari. So if there's a big long list of devotees, we should think that we're at the bottom of the list, not that we need to be on the top. The top means there's still some aspiration for name, fame, honor, and distinction, which is material, because it has to do with the mind. But as far as new or old devotees, I remember in 1975, I was with Prabhupada and in his rooms, and I think I can say this now. Tamal Krishna come in. He came in and he goes, what is this? Who is this Gaur Govinda? I mean, he's a new man. How is he getting first initiation, second, and sannyas? I mean, he just came here the other day. He's a new man. And Prabhupada turned to him. He said, you are the new man. So, you know, we don't know how many lifetimes or how many opportunities that a person, he may be very junior devotee, just came, but he may have been practicing devotional service for many thousands of births, hundreds of births, and this may be his last birth. So he's coming with him, he or she is coming, and they've already on a different platform because of their previous activities. So we should not envy or try to offend any devotee, not only in our sampradaya, but other sampradayas as well, because they're all in Krishna's family. And just like they mentioned, I get there, this may be a Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee, but he may be in a junior, smaller body because this is his last time. He's coming for the last end. Well, others they're just new, they're just starting. So the Madhyam, when one gets the Madhyam platform, he sees 4 different levels. I said this several times. Those that are more advanced, then he tries to serve and hear from. Those that are more or less on the same level, he makes friendship with and reveals his heart in the exchanges of devotional service. Those that are less advanced, you remember at the beginning, he tries to help them, gives them knowledge, gives them opportunity, guides them, helps them. And those that are inimical or always just talking Prajapati, he just voids, just to keep thousands of miles away. In this way, you know, you're getting devotional service, you're giving devotional service, you're making friends, you're exchanging gifts back and forth, revealing your heart. So this is the platform of making advancement. So the Madhyam is commanded like that. But if one's not yet on a Madhyam platform, one should still can follow that. Those are very good instructions. And then gradually the realization will be there. So if we have envy in our heart, or we're envy-wise as having, it still means that there's much dust there. It needs cleaning. And so chanting seriously, hearing seriously, associating with devotees seriously, then this will clear. If not, we're not doing those things, and it'll take many, many lifetimes to clear that. Is that okay? Any other questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Sometimes I've seen some devotees, they offer, they put their head toward like a baby's foot.
They what?
They put their head, they offer respects to like a baby or to a child. Is that appropriate behavior, or?
Well, there's different ways. For one, you can offer mentally your respects to those that are to anyone who's chanting Hare Krishna, you should be able to offer respects. Those that are
No, but I mean, like, if somebody's like 63 and he puts his head towards somebody that's 1.5 years old, you know.
So you're asking if that's appropriate etiquette, or can they do that? Is that what's...
Yeah.
You can offer respects to any living entity.
Okay.
But the difference is, one should offer respects according to their position, their advancement. In other words, one honors someone according to whether they're Uttama, Madhyam, or Kanishta, different levels of Vaishnava. Even if there's blessings, sometimes you can, anyone or even a child from a devotee, you can offer your respects, or sometimes bless if they have that ability. So the idea is that, you know, one should not be so puffed up and just thinking, oh, I am an older devotee, everyone should just offer respects to me. Or that I'm a younger devotee, how come not everyone's offering their respects to me? In other words, the younger devotees should seek the mercy and guidance from older devotees. The older devotees should give their mercy and guidance, and we should not think because of our age that we're more advanced or than others. It may correlate, but because they may have heard longer, but we should be ready to offer respects even to the ant, even to all living entities. We can offer respect. We should try to avoid causing any harm. That's the nature of a devotee. And then that's a big thing to live up to, because someone cuts in front of us on the highway, hey, get up! We're ready to so we're kind of a little bit covered, you know. We've got this devotional mood, but as soon as we're challenged, we immediately go back into anger, and, you know, so we have to remember that when important turn on to peace and a chain. That's why I said, Prabhu said we should wear this as like a necklace around our neck. Why? Because in those moments, when you're about ready to turn on to, okay, this is back off, calm down, sit down, chant Hare Krishna. Because sometimes we'll be challenged. But not that we shouldn't become like Hanuman also, if the mood is there, when the things are trying to, just ravage Ram and kidnap Sita, but then we can use those anger and stuff. But if other case, on our own part, we should be very humble. The fact that we're thinking I'm better, I should be more honored, I should be have distinction. If there's a long list of devotees, we should be the top of that list. That means to that extent, we're still sick. Right. We're still.
No, I think culturally, like in India, you don't.
Pardon?
I think culturally, like in India, they don't offer respects to. It seems like a little strange. Like somebody that's a neophyte would do that.
Just like there's American culture, there's Indian culture, but we're basically trying to follow Vaishnava culture. Right. Which doesn't mean, because we have an Indian body or American body that we don't, when we say, oh, he's an Indian devotee and he's an American devotee.
No, I mean sometimes like neophytes, they'll offer respects to like children or babies, and I don't know if that's Vaishnava culture. Yeah. Because I've seen this often, and then what happens is the Indian parents get upset.
Let Vasu Ghosh, because that's more of a social question.
Let's try and answer this from Srimad Bhagavatam. When Lord Krishna came to the Pandavas, the younger Pandavas bowed down. When he met Arjuna, he embraced. And when he came in front of Yudhishthira, he touched his feet. So this is Vedic culture. It's not Indian culture, it's Vedic culture. And we're supposed to follow Vedic culture. Prabhuji said Vaishnav culture, but Prabhupada, we had it in the last few days where Prabhupada wrote Vedic culture. So it's like I saw a sannyasi bow down to a dead body, but that's not done in Vedic culture. Nobody, especially a sannyasi, wouldn't bow down to a dead body, but I saw this. And what I thought when I saw it is, yes, there is a difference between us Malechas and Yavanas and Hindus. Why? Why is it in the Bhagavatam that the Devatas are praying to be born in India? Right? 5:19-21. The Devas are praying, let us be born in India, Because the people are exalted. Because they're Indians? No. Because there's Vedic culture is followed in India. So juniors and seniors, like we see in many Hindu families, when the youngsters come in front of their parents, they touch their feet. Because that's Krishna's Vedic culture. That's what Prabhupada's written. So you know that when Krishna came to the Pandavas, he was honored by Nakula and Sahadev. He embraced Arjuna because he was the same age, and he bowed down to Bhima and Yudhishthira because they were older. So does that answer the question?
Good. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Time. Thank you very much. I hope you, please excuse me if I offended anyone or I said something improper, like, you know, please, for my respectful obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord and my God brother, Vansha Kalpatibhischa, Kripasindhubhyo, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnava Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Is that okay?